We're the lost kids, angry and disappointed by false promises, the uncontrollable youth unsatisfied with the paltry futures offered to us. After every anarchist attack in the Bristol area over the last 5 years, a wordy communique posted online. The numbers are pretty chunky too, an estimated £20 million worth of damage. There are just 2 words in the police response. Operation Roan is being headed up by this man.
I'm linking over 100 offences that date back to 2010, so over the last 4 years.
Is that right?
Yeah.
100 offences?
Over 100, yes.
So what happened here?
Well, the early hours of the 26th of November, so about 3:30 in the morning, we had 2 cars set on fire on these driveways, and as you can see, the damage has gone on to the garage and even up the side of the house there. So, it's a miracle, really, that the people sleeping inside weren't injured as a result of that.
This was their last attack a month ago. Other headline incidents last year, Avon and Somerset Police Firearms Training Centre, the Bristol Air Cadets minibus, a fleet of vehicles at the UKBA depot, just a handful. The group is called the Informal Anarchist Federation. There's no formal membership, but the network extends into Greece and Italy. They've pulled off bomb and gun attacks on the continent, and every time a statement is released to this magazine, 325. The last attack here, in the beating heart of the establishment, was Blackcurrant Drive, Long Ashton. After each attack, the anarchists post up online their rationale. If turgid prose was a criminal offence, presumably the police would be after them for that too. Here's a taster of what they said about the attack on the 2 luxury cars in this driveway.
We burned an audacious 4x4, 2 luxury sports cars. We set the night on fire because standing aside was never enough to address our miserable situation within a faltering biocidal empire.
It was signed the Informal Anarchist Federation. Towards the end of our interview with the police, the woman who owned one of the audacious cars came out. Excuse me, ma'am. Was this your car? How did you feel about what happened?
My car was a retirement present to myself. I'm a retired teacher, and I think the gentleman next to me is a fireman, so they're not picking on people with lots and lots of money.
So this was a retirement present to yourself after years of teaching?
Yes, that was.
So far, the main lead the police are chasing in connection with 2 different attacks is this man, Hugh Badger, Norfolk. He disappeared from a squat in the Stokescroft area of Bristol 4 years ago. He's 27, from a wealthy family, has a tattoo of the anarchist band Crass on his left arm. In 2011, Bristol's anarchist scene burst out of the squats and onto the streets. It all started here, in telepathic flights. A heady mix of anti-Tesco sentiment and a backlash against the squat eviction led to rioting on the streets of Bristol. It was after this that the current spate of arson attacks started in earnest. Anarchism is a broad church when it comes to tactics. It's not all about burning stuff, in other words. The Bristol Anarchist Federation, for example, recently organised this Christmassy anti-cuts demo. They're based in this community centre. What's anarchism?
Anarchism is a political philosophy that says that people and communities know best how to run their lives rather than putting that trust into bosses and politicians. So we fight for a world where we do away with the unnecessary hierarchy and oppression of the state.
They don't condone targeting personal property here, yet, but it took them a while to get there.
If we're in a period of mass uprising where people were taking control of their communities and their workplaces, where we'd kicked out the bankers and the politicians.
They're not doing that in Bristol at the moment, are they?
No, not yet.
So does that make that action illegitimate?
I think it's hard to define legitimate and illegitimate in those terms. I don't think.
Okay, let me help you along the road. Let me help you along the road then. Is it legitimate to set a teacher's car on fire outside her house?
Again, I think that's quite a loaded question.
Well, it's not really. Is it fair game from an anarchist worldview to go down to a little village outside Bristol and set a teacher's car on fire at the moment?
Like we said, it's not something we do. We can't see any positive things coming of that particular action.
So for the people here, that's a no. Playing around with interesting ideas is of course part of the cut and thrust of any democracy. Playing with matches and with other people's lives is not.